Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open a 2,500-year-old text, but not for a history lesson. We're looking for a powerful, practical operating manual for our very modern and, very complicated lives. Let's just start right here, with a feeling I bet is pretty familiar to you. You know that moment. You're facing a huge decision, the pressure is on, and the right path forward feels, anything but clear. It's the modern condition, isn't it? This crisis of choice and purpose that can feel just totally overwhelming. So what if I told you that a conversation between a warrior prince, Arjuna, and his divine guide, Krishna, right in the middle of a literal battlefield, actually holds the blueprint for navigating all of this? We're going to reframe the Bhagavad Gita not as some dusty old scripture, but as a timeless and incredibly practical guide to action, focus, and even inner peace.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to decode 3 powerful ideas from the Gita. And what's so cool is how these ancient concepts connect directly to modern psychology, Western philosophy, and even, get this, contemporary business strategy. Okay, let's dive right into the Gita's most famous and maybe its most misunderstood teaching. It's a completely revolutionary way to think about how we work, how we create, and how we live our lives without that crippling weight of stress.
This one line, it's a total game changer. It says, your only right is to the action itself. The outcome, the reward, the fruit, that's never guaranteed. It's not even yours to claim. This is all about pouring everything you have into the effort with total focus and excellence.
This principle has a name, Nishkama Karma. It's the art of separating what you can control, your effort, your sincerity, your preparation, from what you absolutely can't, which, let's be honest, is pretty much everything else. Now, this isn't about being passive. It's about being powerfully engaged in the process while staying mentally detached from the results.
And this isn't just some ancient spiritual advice. This mindset is an absolute powerhouse for mental health, and modern psychology is now totally backing it up. I mean, think about it. By letting go of that obsession with outcomes, you slash performance anxiety, you cut down the fear of failure, and you get off the emotional roller coaster of daily life. In fact, you don't have to take my word for it. Research like this study right here directly links Nishkama Karma to stronger intrinsic motivation. That's when you do the work because you value the work itself, not for the reward. It's also a key part of therapies like acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, which helps people build psychological flexibility by accepting what's out of their control and committing to action based on what they value.
And what's really wild is that this idea wasn't just being talked about in ancient India. At around the same time, it was also a central pillar for the Stoic philosophers over in Greece and Rome. It's this incredible bridge between 2 giant schools of thought.
And just look at this. The parallel it's striking. The Gita says, act without being attached to the outcome. Stoicism says, focus only on what's in your control. Same thing. Now, the motivations and the end goals are a little different, spiritual liberation versus inner tranquility, but the practical method for getting to that inner peace, it's almost identical.
So if we can master our actions, what about that battlefield that's raging inside our own heads? Well, the Gita is crystal clear on this. Your mind, it's the entire game.
I just love this framing. Your mind isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool. And depending on your level of self-discipline, your awareness, it can either be your most powerful ally, building you up with focus and clarity, or it can be your most destructive enemy, tearing you down with anxiety, distraction, and all that negative self-talk.
Now, the key insight here is that this isn't just something you're born with. Self-mastery is a skill you can train. It all starts with observation, just realizing you are not your fleeting thoughts. Then, you actively start to guide your mind with your intellect, choosing reason over pure reaction. And finally, it just takes practice, consistent, daily effort to build better mental habits.
And here we go again. This ancient wisdom has a direct echo in one of the cornerstones of modern therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. The Gita's instruction to raise yourself through the power of your mind is basically CBT in a nutshell. It's this core idea that if we identify and change our distorted thought patterns, we can directly change how we feel and what we do.
In fact, modern psychological analysis confirms this alignment completely. The Gita's framework for mastering the mind is a perfect match for the modern goals of building self-efficacy, that's your belief in your own ability to succeed, and self-regulation, which is just your capacity to manage your inner world. Okay, so mastering your inner world, that's huge. But it naturally leads to a really important question about the outer world, which is, how do you know what you're actually supposed to be doing out there?
The Gita makes a pretty radical claim here. Authenticity is way more valuable than perfection. It is better to walk your own path, even with all its flaws, than to perfectly imitate someone else's. It's this powerful call to just stop comparing yourself and start figuring out what your unique contribution is meant to be. And this concept has a name, Swadharma. It's not just your job title, okay? It's this deeper alignment of your actions with your innate nature, your core talents, your fundamental character. And living your Swadharma, well, that's the source of a deeply purposeful life. And here's where my mind was kind of blown. This ancient philosophical concept has a perfect parallel in one of the most influential theories of modern management. For an organization, Swadharma is what's known as its core competency.
You see, these management gurus, Prahalad and Hummel, they argued that companies shouldn't just focus on their final products. No, true sustainable success comes from identifying and mastering the unique skills that the company is better at than anyone else in the world. That's his core competency.
And what's so fascinating is how perfectly these two ideas line up. A company's core competency has to give it access to different markets, just like your Swadharma can be applied in different roles. It has to provide real value, just like your authentic work should. And, this is the big one, it has to be difficult to imitate because it's rooted in a unique process, just like your Swadharma is rooted in your one-of-a-kind nature.
Okay, so we've gone from an ancient battlefield to modern psychology labs and even corporate boardrooms. What does all this mean for us, right here, right now, on our own daily battlefields?
Here are the key takeaways. This isn't just philosophy, it's a practical operating system. First, act without attachment. Focus on your effort, not the outcome, and reclaim your peace of mind. Second, master your mind. Train it so it becomes your greatest ally, not your worst enemy. And third, find your path. Embrace your unique strengths, your Swadharma, instead of trying to be like someone else. That is how you live a life of purpose.
You know, in the end, the wisdom of the Gita isn't just something you understand, it's something you live. Which leaves us with one final and I think really empowering question to take with you. Looking at the challenges in your own life, your work, your mind, what is the battlefield in front of you today? And now, armed with these ideas, how will you choose to act?